All right, so we're doing something a little different here. This is part 2 of it is the sequel of our discussion about what this one's going to be is Clone Wars. We just wrapped up Lock and Key, and so we're going to talk about Clone Wars, the first episode of the new season, the final season, and then in the third part we will be talking about Rise of Skywalker.
I thought it was General Hospital.
General Hospital.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hope you guys are wearing diapers
So
because I can talk about this for hours.
I know you
I've nearly done it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you poop your pants?
We did it. It was
I
like
did.
nearly 2 hours that we talked
Wow.
about.
I just don't have any self-control when it comes to
monstrosity.
Star Wars. I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I just.
That's like me in comic books, man.
Yeah. No.
That is kind of a thing. Like
I-
we have found ourselves when we weren't even talking about Star Wars. We've found ourselves talking about
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Right. It's a
when,
common bond.
when Brian's on.
Yeah.
That's
it's
exactly
all
what
right.
I don't
I mean,
understand how it happens.
You got me. That's the first generation of seeing Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I'm going to brag about that because I was there in 1977.
I was not yet, but I will be able to say that I was a part of the first generation to see Detective Pikachu.
You were, and I've yet to watch that.
Are you
I'm right
are you
there.
just nodding, Brian, because you can't hear us? Oh, wait.
I will
Wait, here it
never,
goes.
ever watch Detective Pikachu. It will never happen. I won't. You know what?
I'm telling you, dude. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you to watch Detective
Oh
Pikachu.
yes, please.
There's gonna be
I will not.
inadvertently, subconsciously.
I will not.
I'm gonna start putting clips of it, just like flashes, a frame
No.
in like
No.
edited video.
Nope.
I think what you need to do is you need to Clockwork Orange him and make him.
Just take his
Nah.
eyelids and just.
Oh God!
And then he'll come away and you're like, that's the best movie I've
No.
ever seen.
It was so good.
No way.
All right,
All right.
so
Clone Wars.
Clone Wars. You don't have to like get up on the mic like that.
like being on it.
Clone Wars,
Clone Wars.
season 7.
Can anybody talk like that guy at the beginning? Because that guy's amazing.
I don't know.
The guy who introduces it.
Yeah,
Like Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I can't even I hear it in my head, but I can't.
And
mimic
as
it.
the scroll runs by, pans up.
I yeah, that
I can't do-
I'm sure Brian.
I didn't
could figure it out
realize.
pretty quick.
I can't do it. I have to hear it, and
No,
then I have to
he's-
jump, and then I have to do it.
What
It's such a unique
He-
voice.
It's like
It's
it's like
very-
an old
yeah.
40s
Yeah.
newsreel
It's very
thing.
old
It's really,
school.
I mean it. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that's what it was.
And dude, it was and so when it started,
Yeah.
I was already like excited because of how it always opened
Yeah.
with its theme music, the Star Wars theme, but its own little fresh spin on it. And then him talking, I was when I was like yes, and I got so excited when it started.
And Disney gives you the option. Disney Plus gives you the option of skipping that. And I'm like,
Why would
no
you do
way.
that?
No way.
Why?
I just hope it doesn't when it goes into the next. Not that you're gonna have the problem like now because Disney Plus is doing it the way it should be,
Yeah.
doing episode each week. Like if it was, we're Netflix, we're gonna dump everything at once, you would be missing that
Yeah. Totally.
Yep.
because it would just like autoplay and skip the
I
intro.
have to say, I'm very happy that we're getting weekly releases again rather than the full binge dump. There's something about waiting, the anticipation for the next episode that I think is smart. They're retaining a lot of loyalty from fans that way because you're waiting, you're scheduling time to go watch it. I think it's a smart move. I like it. And I think, I can't remember. I think it was like season 2 or 3 when I realized that the guy was. Battle! Yeah. The Droid Armada. It's like this throaty. I'll work on it because I would love to be able to do that dude's voice. Because it's.
You should talk like.
Anakin Skywalker.
Hey, Brian. Talk with your wife like that when you're having relations.
Jeez.
Hello, baby. Do you like this?
I'm
making moves.
How was your day at work? Do you like that? The fingers rolling through your hair. Yeah. Do you want me to massage?
I softly touched
softer?
Do you like the way my hand stroked your face?
I love you. Yeah. I love you, darling.
I carefully manicured my man parts. For your pleasure.
I think it was like season 2 or 3 when I realized that he was the scroll. Like I didn't realize that was the replacement for the Star Wars scroll until like season 2 or 3, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're listening to. That's the voice of the scroll. So now every time I watch the actual movies,
Every time you see
I'm
a
gonna be like,
It's that guy
the
reading
dead
it.
speak.
That's
Or what is it? The dead. A voice from beyond the grave, or whatever it is. The Rise of Skywalker one is.
Yeah, the dead speak.
Yeah,
No,
the
it's
dead
The
speak.
dead speak.
Yeah, the dead speak. That's how that
yeah,
scroll.
We're totally going to be talking about that.
So I am, of the 3, I have not watched all of Clone Wars. I have watched sporadic episodes, like I was telling Brian earlier. I watched like the whole first season, and then after that, the kids were growing older, and I, had to work and stuff. So
Yeah.
I didn't watch.
I can't say that I've seen every episode either. Back when they first came out
I
on
can.
Netflix. Yeah, we know. We know. Back when they first came on Netflix, I did make it through like season 5. And I recently I don't know why I thought I could do it, but I started like hammering through it
Yeah.
as fast as I could before this past Friday. Yeah, there was no way that I was gonna
No.
do it. There's too much
so
going on in
much.
life for me to be able
Yeah.
to do that. And it's so, and Brian and I talked about this briefly, how we were wondering what the graphics were gonna look like in comparison. And just based off the trailer, you can already get the idea. But I watched some of season 1. It's very blocky.
Very. blocky.
And the movement is kind of stiff, but dude, this they still kept like their form
Yeah.
and how they move, but it was just everything was so crisp and clean and
It's
You
nice.
definitely,
Beautiful.
it's definitely improved from even the last season 6. I mean, it's definitely an improvement.
Okay, so spoilers, we're going to be talking about this big time since all 3 of us have watched it.
Yes.
I love the fact that they just kept it on the Clone Wars, on the clones.
Yeah.
yes.
Right in this first episode. I thought that was super cool.
Oh man.
And really dove into how they had to like speed up the manufacturing of the clones, and because of that, they weren't getting the proper training, and so it kind of like bleeds into the whole like why they're bad shots.
The Bad Batch.
Yeah, the Bad Batch.
Which I was like, when I saw the title for the episode and it said The Bad Batch, and I went, ooh, this sounds
Yeah. Yep.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And oh man, it was already in this first episode. It's like heart wrenching because they're just so selfless, and
They it's
Go ahead.
the Bad Batch is batch 99, and 99 was the there's an episode he's a janitor that sacrificed his life for the clones, and he was
wow.
put as a janitor because he was just so like poorly developed. Like he had all these deformities and everything, and so he wasn't a soldier because he didn't have all of the ability to train like the other guys, but he still had that heart, and so he laid down his life for his brothers, and so naming this Squadron 99, like there's a point where Rex, I think it's Rex, Rex makes a look at the batch when they tell him it's Squadron 99 or something like that, and he's like, it's just like I can tell, like with what you were saying.
I think I remember that episode.
Yeah, it's a gut-wrenching episode.
Yeah.
Like there's memes that float around where it's like, it's like when boys cry and then, when women cry and then when men cry, and then the panel that where men cry is when 99 dies, which it's true. Anyways, but what you were saying, Miles, with the staying on the clones, I think that they're going to do that specifically to lead into Order 66. I hope
totally.
that they do, where they're staying with the clones the whole time, like so that you're like totally into what these clones have to go through at that switch. So we'll see. It was.
Well, they dabbled with the whole thing in Rebels when Rex and those guys were like, because Kanan's like, I don't know if I trust you guys. Because it was like, oh no, we removed the chips from our head.
Yep.
Like, and so
it's gonna be
it's gonna get good. How many episodes are they doing? Have they announced
I think
that?
I only saw
didn't look
10
into
or
that.
12 that they're gonna drop. It's gonna be. I think it's
be
gonna
rough,
be short.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can believe that. I bet they were like, "Oh, I don't know if we should spend the money." And we're like, "Yeah, you should."
No.
We want 25 episodes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, because this comes down to, like you're talking about Order 66, and that's always where I come back to. I'm like, from episode 3, because my kids love episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved episode 3 so much more if it had been almost an entire movie of the clones turning and the Jedis having to fight them. Because I think you would have had, it would have been so action-packed and so awesome, and
Like
I want to see that.
That should have happened in episode 2.
Yes.
And then we had an entire movie, or at least half a movie, where it's just Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and this whole chase of him maybe trying to find Luke and Leia. I don't know.
There's potential for that to happen though. Like I'm reading stuff that they're courting Hayden Christensen to come back for the Kenobi series, and like the video games. There's video games that have started to go into that a little bit more, where the Jedi Fallen Order game that just recently came out, I can't remember, it was like in December, I think. They're trying to tie in a little bit more of that. I think we'll see some of that, but
The comics are doing it right now.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. That's exactly what I was about to ask you, is how well are the Vader comics doing?
Okay.
And would that, to Disney, go, okay, these cells of the comics are so good that I think we
need
should
to
do an entire series.
And they consider the comics in canon, what they've been doing.
Right.
So, I mean, what Marvel, when they got Star Wars back, they did it right. It was like after A New Hope, and they ran with it, and Darth Vader was running beside it, and you were seeing that time frame. And then recently, they started. They ended that series finally, and then now we are right after Empire Strikes Back. So it's Vader knows that he has a son out there, and he is pissed off in his series because he's like, okay, no one told me I had a son, and now I'm going to find out. I'm getting revenge on everybody that did not tell me that I had a son. And you're like, and he's got freaking death troopers with him. And I'm like, yes, please, thank you, and I want to read this. And Empire Star Wars is only
Judy Chomp.
It's only two issues into Star Wars, and I'm so in because it's like, it's Luke going, oh crap, I lost my hand, and Darth Vader's my dad.
Yeah.
And they second second issue of Star Wars shows, they're like, well, what happened to your hand? And he was like, and it shows him just kind of thinking back, and you see the hand and the saber falling through Cloud City, and you see a hand reach out
And catch
the
it, right.
lightsaber, and is in looks like Jedi garb, and it doesn't show who it is, and I was like, holy crap.
What?
And then coming up, they show a cover, and it's Luke, and he's in his X-wing garb, and they're introducing the yellow lightsaber. He has a yellow lightsaber, and I'm like, I'm so into this.
I've got to jump into the
Empire
comics.
Time is
I've not read the comics or anything. I'm definitely like, I listen to the books. I listen to them on audio, but I need to get the comics because I feel like, because I know there's that Vader series that I love Vader. He's my boy, so I need to read it.
But there's because it's right after Empire. Also, they have Lando with them, and they like immediately. I mean, it's like picking up right after Empire, and it's like during the flight back to the Rebel ship, and they're and Lando's with them, and they're like, "No, we don't trust you. You sold us out."
Yeah.
It's so funny because like you always show it, and they're like, "Oh, Lando's okay. Everybody's all right with him," but they're like, no, you were a traitor, man.
Right.
You sold us out. And they're like, we don't trust you. And I'm like, cool, that's what I wanted to see, because that should be that way with Lando, even though I love Lando.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm very excited they're doing stuff with that, even though we've gone completely off the rails.
Not really.
But we just went Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to. I'm pulling us back in.
Yeah, go.
So, what happens in this episode? It's pretty much General Grievous. Sorry, can't talk. Is coming to take this outpost. That, what are they? The 99.
Wait,
yeah.
Is it Grievous or is it that other dude? Who's that?
It's
other dude?
I can't remember his name. He's the arachnid guy, though. Yeah, he's the. Yeah. There's an outpost. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
There's a centrally located.
There's another dude talking to the
dish.
Yeah.
He's in the earlier seasons of Clone Wars. I can't remember his name though. Good grief. Anyways, they're going after that central like dish information hub, because there's some sort of weapon that's being developed supposedly. It's the tale as old as time. Death Star stuff.
Well, he's going to take out the clone base, right, where they're manufacturing all the clones. So they're doing that to disrupt communication amongst the I'm blanking. My brain just like completely just stopped working. Anyways, I thought it was nice seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan in the first episode for what little bit there
a brief
and Mace
Windu.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah. I think this was they're introducing the Bad Batch, which I am a little. I don't want to yammer on too much, but the Star Wars story there's such a line through it. There's such a line through it with the light side and the dark side of the Force and everything, and so I kind of forgive it a little bit with Clone Wars and the anthologies, because those are side tales. They don't necessarily fit into the whole Skywalker saga, which I understand that. But it makes me a little nervous when they do stuff like the Bad Batch, because although they're super cool, I think it's more of the sci-fi stuff that Star Wars isn't necessarily known for, and less about Star Wars. But I feel like if they're gonna do a Bad Batch, they have to do like an evil version of the Bad Batch, so that there's balance. So I feel like there's for me, it feels like sci-fi stuff, and I loved it, and I want to see more of it. I think it's cool, but it feels
Is that not something that you think could eventually be flipped over into how
It can be-
the dark side
yeah, it can.
uses? Yeah,
Yeah,
which is probably the direction they're going to
I
go
hope
in.
so.
I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily like, oh, there's a bad batch,
Right.
and a good bad batch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just it was a good introduction to them, to get to know them, to see that there's a squadron of defective clones that are still usable, and I like that they killed off a few of the clones that we're used to. Like, who'd they kill off? Fives.
Well,
Fives isn't there.
you thought
Oh,
Echo
yeah.
was too, but
Echo's still here. Echo's still around. Fives is gone. Like, you can tell that there's been some casualties. So I think we're gonna. I hope that they focus on the clones a little bit more in this one, in this last season, to get. And I think that they will. They're gonna tie into the relationship between the clones, the relationship between the clones and the Jedi, and then they're gonna just freaking kill it.
the Bad Batch reminds me or 99, or it brings me back to when I was a kid and G.I. Joe came out, and it's like they all have this specific thing that they can do, and I was like, this is super cool.
It is
I was like,
nice,
okay,
yeah.
You got the nerdy guy the tech guy, and then you have the sniper guy, which I was like, oh, that's super
Yeah.
cool. I loved how his helmet had
Little
had
crosshair,
hole
yeah.
for-
Yeah.
I was just like, that's cool. And I love the tattoos,
Yeah.
like the face
Yeah,
tattoos.
yeah.
And I'm not a fan of any face tattoos most of the time, but in this, it's nice that you can make each clone unique.
Mm-hmm.
And you got like the Incredible Hulk,
Right.
clone
It's
trooper there.
it's the Clone
Which I was like,
Avengers.
awesome.
It's the Clones
Yeah, it was
Avengers.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, because you have Hawkeye, who's it's totally the clone.
It is. It's the Clone Avengers.
So
It's cool. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. And they freaking destroyed that entire army of droids,
I still love the clankers.
the clankers.
oh yeah,
In that valley, all 5 of them rushing this one huge army full of robot. I mean, it's just it's a fun addition, and I can't wait to see where they take it.
so how did this episode compare to what you were expecting or not expecting in the first episode?
I really
I mean,
go ahead, Scott Scar.
it's okay. I actually was more expecting more Jedi stuff, because you're like,
Yeah, I think I was
you,
too.
You were like, oh man, we should. I mean, if I was running the show, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna lead out with some Jedi stuff, and then we'll go to the clones, the second episode. But after watching that episode, I don't really care. So they can do whatever they want. They have me.
Brian?
Yeah, I was about to say the same exact thing. I was about to say I thought that they were going to dive into more Jedi stuff. I mean, that's what I was anticipating. Because leading up to it, you got some clone centric episodes in the first 6 seasons, but a lot of it seemed to center around Anakin.
So what was the last
Kenobi.
thing? What was the last thing that happened in season 6? Do you remember?
The only thing that stands out, because I haven't seen it in probably a year or so, only thing that stands out for me is one of the clones' chips went bad, and he started to, I think he turned on somebody or did something, but one of his chips went bad, and they were trying to figure out what it was, and I think that might have been Echo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's Echo. Yeah,
I think I remember that episode, and he was actually being manipulated, right? He was being controlled,
And then they're getting the information, the tactics,
and he didn't
from him
remember
in this.
doing any of
Yep.
it and
Yeah.
all of that. Okay, so this is it's relevant. I think it's a good decision to start it. I'm okay with it.
No, I was
Yeah.
perfectly happy when they focused on the clones. And like at the end of it, I was like, okay, I hope that they stay on the clones, because they've developed each one of them with their own personalities and their own relationship with their Jedis. I hope they tell the rest of the season from the perspective of the clones, so that when Order 66 is executed, it's that much more gut wrenching. That's what I'd hope.
And those the moments in the episode when they were like, we could really use a Jedi right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like those were, but they just kept pushing on because they had to.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It was super awesome.
And you know what? As I've not watched all of the Clone Wars, and I didn't feel lost though.
Right.
Which I thought I'm not going to know what the heck they're talking about, but they gave us enough information where I was like, oh, cool, this is just a side mission for these dudes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I was ready for the second episode.
Yeah.
And made me want to go back and watch everything.
Yep.
Though. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the second episode for sure.
definitely.
I was ready. I was like, I even knew that it was only going to be coming out weekly, and I would just even went back into the hub and was like checking to see if there was a second,
Yeah.
because I was like, I'm ready to go.
Refresh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And it's a time frame that that I'm glad they're exploring, because of all of the episode 1 through 3, that's the time frame that I'm really into. Because I mean, the clones are cool. They made them into really interesting characters, and then they're going to be turning on
Mhm.
and now you can see how, I mean, by the development of these characters, you can see how they could take out the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
because they're very tactically minded. I mean, it's in their programming of how they're made.
Mhm.
So it doesn't make me have it. They're not bungling idiots
Mhm.
Yeah.
like they make the regular stormtroopers, who are not clones. Obviously, they're guys that, like, I joined up for the Empire. I'm one of those guys. I'm a Nazi.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and you got these guys that are like, they're always that's their main concern is, win the war for the Jedi,
Mhm.
win the war for their side.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not dumb.
And they learn their enemy.
Yeah.
They know.
Oh, yeah.
They know the next move that they're gonna make.
And
Yeah,
and they
I enjoy it.
and they work together. Like that's the that's why in numbers they're so dangerous, and that because they work together and there's that camaraderie between the clones that I think I saw somebody's, if it was a fight between the clone troopers and the stormtroopers, clone troopers would win every time, hands down, because they're just
Hands down.
because they're so much more tactically minded, and there's a camaraderie between all of them. So yeah, I thought it was great.
almost
I thought it was a
a
great
hive mind.
first.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I thought it was a great
Ready for more.
first episode to a final season, and I'm interested. My
What do you think's gonna happen next?
That's what I was.
Do you think we're gonna get some Jedi stuff going on? Do you think we're gonna get a little bit of Ahsoka? You think we're gonna get some more Anakin? I think, or do you think it's gonna? Or you think? Oh, here's the bigger question: do you think they're gonna be more linear with this season as opposed to how they were in previous seasons, where nothing's in order?
No, I think that this one will be a chronological. They're going to be going step to leading up to what turns the clones. That's really what I think they're going to do. Because I was literally thinking that same thing. Like my brain, if in my head, where would the next logical step be? And there was such a short distance between the season 6 finale and Revenge of the Sith that I don't know if there's a whole lot of Jedi stuff that they really can do between now and then. So I really think that they're going to focus more on the clones. I hope they do.
And Jar Jar probably.
A lot of Jar Jar. Definitely a lot of Jar Jar.
That's what I heard. There's gonna be tons of Jar Jar.
And going back to the comics that are currently happening, just for a moment, the first issue of Darth Vader that came out recently, and he's going through and he's just been on destruction in it, and I love Darth Vader by himself. I think it's actually a thing that needs to be explored, and that's what I totally agree with you on Revenge of the Sith. It should have been like he needed to be Darth Vader for like half that movie,
No.
like figuring it out. But just so you know, at the last page, he's like, "No, what? How is it?" And it's like freaking Padme standing there, dude. And I'm going, huh? And obviously, I would think that it's one of her dupes that's still around. Because I mean, or maybe it's her. Who knows? I doubt it. She died. But they also had a series in between these of Darth Vader where it was him learning to be Darth Vader, where he was like running into like other Jedis that had kind of went into hiding, and he was taking them on. They've explored Darth Vader the way they probably should.
Which there's a fan film coming out. Did I talk to you about this, Brian? Okay. There's a fan film coming out where it's coming out this year, and everyone did it pro bono, like basically. Right. And these are all people who like do special effects for like major motion pictures. And I think there was a guy who works side by side with JJ, worked on all the previous films, and brought a team with him. They went out. I think they spent a week shooting this fan film called Reign of Solace. And so Solace, I think, is the last place where in Order 66, the Jedi ran off. It's one of they went to this place to go into hiding. And so that's what the movie's about.
Oh man, that sounds awesome.
So it's like I don't know if it's like super like, I think it's more of a drama than it is like action packed. But at least from what I've been looking into and found. But Ash Thorpe, he's got a podcast. I think it's called The Collective Podcast. And I was turned on to it by Cody, the guy that is designing a logo for Spillcorn, our film logo, and super great artist, super awesome dude, and he turned me on to it, and just like this whole collaboration thing. But all that to say, like, I'm really excited to see this fan fiction film. I can't remember how I got onto that, but
that's all right. Cool.
But you mentioned the whole like, the Last Jedi's, whatever.
Yeah.
But I forgot that I hadn't told either one of you.
I'll have to look into that. That's pretty good.
I mean, I think there's several time frames that I really wish they could explore more in situations. Maybe by book or, maybe even TV series. I mean, The Mandalorian's shown that we can do this.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like there needs to be a Darth Vader movie or TV show.
They're actually gonna do that. I think. Well, first, I don't know how they would do it though, because Rebels freaking dove into it, but apparently Maul's supposed to have his own thing.
Yeah.
And there's rumor that he's gonna be in the Obi-Wan series. I don't know if I misread that, but I mean, there's room for it. And I've seen a lot of video of the guy who played Darth Maul. Like he's been ramping up his training, and like there's a ton of videos coming out with him now, and he loves the character.
Yeah.
Wonder if they're going to use him.
I mean, he reprised his role. He did do it in Solo.
Yeah,
that was him.
He was Solo. I mean, they were supposed to do a trilogy of Solo, and he was going to be the main villain for all that. But then the fans, freaking fans.
Then the fans,
man.
And and I feel like I think in going back to the Solo thing, I feel like there was great potential to continue that. I know that you're not the biggest fan of the guy that played Solo, but I still thought we could have had some fun movies. He could have continued into.
I
some
think honestly, the first director choices that they had is the reason that film didn't do as well as it did. And honestly, I think casting did too. I'm not sure why Emilia Clarke was in that movie, other than the fact that she's the Dragon Queen.
Yeah.
Like, why that could have been anyone.
Yeah. It
I,
could've-
I didn't believe their chemistry whatsoever.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't buy into it.
Right.
And was it warranted? I just, there was a lot of things I questioned in that movie. I would have liked to have seen more. I still would like to see more. Stupid phone. But no. I don't know how we got on that tangent from Darth Maul, but
Because he was in Solo. He was supposed to have more stake, and
Right.
we were talking about how he might show up
Right.
in Kenobi and
Yeah, it's okay.
so on.
we're just
all right.
this is becoming a Star Wars rant.
Okay, so we should probably. Okay, so we all liked the first episode
Yes,
of Clone
and
Wars
we-
Yes.
season 7.
Are looking forward to the second
I'm looking
episode.
forward to this. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this season about as much as I'm looking forward to season 2 of Mandalorian.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, hands down.
I mean,
Hands
this,
down. But
yeah. And I didn't even watch Clone.
because I feel like stories like these, like the Clone Wars and then like Rogue One,
Yeah,
they just elevate the entire series.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love them so much more.
yeah.
Right.
Mandalorian, I love it because it's a standalone thing
And
and
it-
it doesn't touch anything else. You can throw other things into it, and that's great. I love that. But that's the kind of Star Wars we need. We
Right.
need stuff that elevates what we already have,
Right.
not take what we already have and then take a big old dump on it.
I think I don't know if it was one of you guys that posted this or not, but I saw a meme or a cartoon, and it was like, it was the Mandalorian, and he had the child with him, Baby Yoda, as everyone, as idiots, then called it.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. And that was
God.
unprovoked. That was great. We didn't. Brian and I have talked about that, but we can't-
I just want to
Continue.
punch anybody that calls it Baby Yoda.
Ugh.
It's not Baby Yoda.
Okay.
And now, but it's showing him hold, and he's like, he's going, I'm Star Wars now. To this, and I'm like, it's pretty much true right now.
At this
So,
point, yeah, I guess we're leading out of the Skywalker realm, and we're going into the expanded universe, which is perfectly fine. And it's a
Yeah,
lot of
I
fun.
think that's what we've needed to do for a while, but yeah, we can dive into that in the third part.
Oh no! There's a disturbance in the force. I feel it.
But there you have it. There are our thoughts on the Clone Wars new season, season 7, episode 1.
Yes.
And we will catch you guys in part 3 of this very long podcast.
And we'll be wearing pants.
Well, I am. You've not been wearing pants this whole time, and neither is
Oh,
Brian.
I definitely.
I had to.
I'm
just
definitely
because of where the
not.
camera's at.
Definitely not.
Yeah, Brian.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not.